if you see a plot of land with a house, it can be transferred from generation to generation. What I see with competition is it helps me to improve myself more.
What do you think about your work-life balance?
You need to have a strategy.
What are the 3 mistakes you would like to share with people for them to avoid?
Number one is I see that sometimes agents, they pressurize the client to go and invest on a property.
Can you tell us some emotional story of one of your closing, which is very close to your heart and you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, so I basically started my career in Muruj Al Furjan. That was the time when it was just launched, and I started my career in the secondary market resale of off-plan projects. So there was a unit, a 4-bedroom villa, which was I was in contact with the owner since the time I started my career. So at that time, I was supposed to, I was trying to sell that property, and I had a buyer that was also a colleague of mine who had the buyer. So we almost came to we almost were to close the deal. But at the last minute, the seller decided that he doesn't want to sell because it was just might be 1 year after the time he bought the property. So it was not a big, he didn't have a big appreciation in it. But what he decided is he wanted to keep it. So, so it was emotionally a bit of a tough time when you are unable to really, you come till the end and you're unable to close it. But then he gave me a promise that he will somehow see that the next property he buys, he will buy through me. So, so it didn't end there. So what happened is, I suggested him to buy in, there was a project in Nashama, that's Town Square. Nashama was the developer. So it was the last cluster called Maha. It was a townhouse. So what happened is he didn't come only with him. He also bought one of his friend, and we ended up buying 2 townhouses. So it didn't end there. So what happens is when we have our connection with the client, it's a long-term connection. So now what happened is Muruj Al Furjan was just handed over last year, end of last year. So now the property had really appreciated. He bought it for almost 3.5 million, and today it had reached appreciated to almost 7 million. So it came to a stage where he wanted to sell it. So I opted him. What he basically said is he either wants to rent it, and if he gets a good deal, he will sell it. So at the beginning of this year, we had a viewing. So it was basically a client who came looking for a villa to purchase, and alhamdulillah, he agreed on it. But then, as I told you, on every deal, there are crucial times where the closure is not easy. So this was the incidence where it was a mortgage client. So normally in Dubai, for end products, the end users normally purchase through mortgage because you don't have a cash flow to put in money at that time. Because pumping in a big amount is not the capacity of everyone, especially when you're working for a fixed income. So what really happened is, okay, he got the mortgage approved, and we were almost to sign the MOU. So at the last minute, we have a clause in the MOU where if the mortgage is not being approved by the bank, then the deal is null and void. So we normally have an MOU for 2 months if it's a mortgage client. So my seller, he had a valid reasoning that there's nothing to safeguard himself by getting into the deal. If the seller is unable to get the mortgage, then he is not going to, he's going to lose that time, 2 months. Either he would have been able to rent it or sell it to another client. So there is a loss there. So what he told me is, this is not a common clause, but he suggested me is, okay, he wants at least 1 month compensation of rent if this deal doesn't get through. So, but then the buyer didn't agree for it because it's not a clause which is normally there. So, so I was negotiating with both the sides, trying to come to a middle ground. So at the end, it was a bit emotional. I also just suggested the seller, okay, if the deal doesn't go through, I will see that I will pay him. even a 1 month's rent, to see that somehow we go through the deal, because the percentage of him not the buyer not getting the mortgage approved is very low, because he was a person of a high profile individual who was having a very stable job in a multinational company. So Alhamdulillah, we signed the MOU, and he has also got his mortgage also approved. Yeah.
This is really an emotional story, yes, being between the buyer and the seller. But you did it all. This is really inspiring and a very heart touching story. One big thing which I know about you, and I would love to share with the audience, is you are a townhouse villa specialist. So, why did particularly you choose this niche, or why do you recommend people buying a villa or a townhouse?
So overall, I advise investors thinking that if I'm putting my own money, how well I will invest it in. I will want to see a long-term growth in their investment. So overall, when you see the supply of townhouses and villas compared to apartments, it's less. So there it's demand versus supply. And when you see the returns, investors have benefited comparing to townhouses and apartments. They have got more returns in some good projects, where townhouses have got and villas have got good gains. And also, I see on a long term perspective, where if you see a plot of land with a house, it can be transferred from generation to generation. So it has a long term effect, where even if you see back in our countries, houses are lasting from 50 to 100 years. So what really happens is, if you take an example in Dubai, uh, Meadows, it's almost 20 years old. And now if you see in the market, these houses are being upgraded and resold at a much higher price. Whereas if you compare this with an apartment, you cannot really upgrade and get the property to get appreciated, because overall the building will start getting old, and there is a maximum time limit that building can stand. Whereas if you own a plot, you have a title deed which is forever. That's what you call the freehold property. Yeah, but whereas a building, there will come a time where the building has to be demolished, and your investment will just be a piece of paper, where it will have a future project or some other plans coming in. But a house and a villa, it's something which can go for a long time.
This is a golden nugget in this podcast that you have given to the audience, that this is really a gift, a legacy, also with the investment which the investors can give to the next generation. This is truly amazing. So, let me please ask you now, what is so special about you that is different than other real estate agents, and you feel it is your USP, it is unique in you?
Number one, what I see is that's all agents should be like that, is the ethics and being genuine and not cheating the client. Uh, and then what I see is my main USP is, since I have come from a construction background, I can help the client in even in the construction aspect. Basically, from the beginning, from the valuation, I could help him get a good valuation for his property, and then also if he needs to do a renovation or do any upgrading in his property, I can help him in that. So it's an overall advantage. If the client works with me, I help him in other aspects of his uh, deal which he needs to do when he wants to buy a property.
So, like it's a relationship forever after, even
Yeah.
after that sale.
Yeah.
Another thing which is coming to my mind is that how do you see your competition?
Yeah, competition in every market. When you have competition, you want to work harder. So what I see with competition is, it helps me to improve myself more and be in par with the other real estate agents in the community. So number one I see is, when you want to be a competitive, successful agent or professional or businessman, it's about growth and learning. So you need collaboration, learning, and upgrading yourself. So you need to work with the right agents if you want to be a successful agent. Because, for an example, I closed my first deal not alone. I had another agent who had the seller, and I had the buyer. So it was all about collaboration. And then and working with the trustworthy agents who also will help you to grow. So that has really helped me in my career.
Yeah. So this is really a powerful message which so many people are giving, but you are practicing it, that collaboration is the key. And also you being a person of values, so the right person who is of your value, this collaboration actually works for you and it works for anyone. And now something which is very, I think most of the people would like you to answer, that this is actually very stressy. The real estate is not easy. The work life balance and the pressures here, because huge money involved, and the investors, the buyer, seller, the negotiations. So what do you think about your work life balance, or what is your practice?
So to tell you frankly, it's a tough question to answer, especially when we were in the initial stage of our career. It took me, as I told you, 6 months to close my first deal. So in the initial stage, I used to work late nights. Until now, I work late nights. So it's you need to have a strategy, and so to at the beginning, the work-life balance is not easy. But then after you establish yourself, okay, you are able to manage. But being in our industry, we have to be available whenever the client requires us to be there. So normally clients are available on the weekends. So it's not we cannot fix our time that on weekends we can get an off, because even on a Sunday a client might want to do a viewing. So if we want to make that deal successful, we have to be there to attend him, have the meetings, and try to close the deal. And also, especially as I told you, in our industry it's quite competitive. So if a client agrees to buy a property, we normally see that within the shortest time possible, we try to sign the MOU. So even if it's 12 o'clock in the midnight, if we really want to close the deal, we have to see that we sign the MOU. Because sometimes if we wait for the next day, uh, either one of the parties can reject. Either the seller can say, no, he's not happy with the price, he has got a better offer, or the buyer can say, no, he has found a different property, cheaper and better. So if when both parties agree, we see that somehow, even if it's a weekend or in the midnight, we see that we are able to successfully get the MOU signed. So the other advantage, alhamdulillah, in Dubai is everything is computerized. It's not like other countries where you need to go to a lawyer and get an MOU signed. Here everything is online. Even if the sellers or the buyers are living abroad, with the click of a button, they can sign the MOU. So that has made real estate transactions happen more faster.
So your time management, you are working on learning, and like you are working on it.
Yeah. So basically, when you see from January, I have been working with you. So that has really helped me get myself organized and use my time efficiently. So within a period of 1 week, where on January I was able to close 3 deals, it was basically okay. I had the sellers, had the buyers, but it was how efficiently I used my time to see that I focus on the main important things and give that focus, which really helps to get your time and work more productive. And at the end of the day, it helps you in earning better also.
Yeah, thank you for like sharing your result and sharing your working with me. Also, I would like to ask you, did you double your income while working on your time management with me?
So as I told you, where uh, by organizing the time and using it more efficiently, it helps you. Sometimes what happens is it's okay, you cannot give uh, a guaranteed formula where, okay, if you work productively, you're going to get see the results immediately. But over a period of time, it will really help you because
Did you see results in
yeah,
your
alhamdulillah,
monitoring?
alhamdulillah, especially
Alhamdulillah.
by having someone who is monitoring you
Yeah.
and seeing where you're wasting your time, especially after doing the time audit.
Yeah.
It really helps you to see that in which areas you're wasting your time and which areas you need to focus and give in more time, need to improve in the productivity. So that obviously helps you to grow your income also.
Yeah.
So in any industry, even if you see a factory, they work on time audits.
Correct.
So and then they have a target. So only then the factory is successful by giving their production on time and with good quantities. So the same thing applies to us as a human, where we use our time productively and then see that our time wasters are being reduced.
Yes, this is for the audience. Time wasters were reduced. You did time audit with me, and you also, like the people as they run with the to do list, you chose to work on the week, planning the week and having every day executed with the winning work week formula which you have worked. So I want to really acknowledge you because you are one of the person. It is 1% in the world, the people who work on themselves. So this is why you outstand from other real estate agents, because when you are continuously working on yourself, you are able to give that to your clients. So thank you so much. This was a powerful share, I think, for the audience. Arshad, if you were to guide a new investor, what are the 3 mistakes you would like to share with people for them to avoid?
Yeah, number one is I see that sometimes agents, they pressurize the client to go and invest on a property, and they feel that pressure because some agents, they really push. But you have to number one is they have to do their own market research, especially when you're doing an investment, because it's an investment of high value. Because with my experience, I have seen many investors, they sometimes do their first investment in a wrong way, because they just depend blindly on an agent's perspective and put the money. And then after 4 years, they realize that they are unable to resell. There's not been much of an appreciation. So then that's how they learn. And then they do their own market research. So I advise them to always speak to other investors, get an understanding, learn, and then put their hard-earned money in. And number two, I will also advise them to see that they. Number two is Dubai. Everything is transparent. You have few sites like DXP Interact, where you can see all the past transactions, how the property has been performing, and the appreciation. And then number three is they have to go with developers who have been who have an number three is they have to work with developers who have a escrow account being registered when they launch a project, because there are some investors, they directly pay the developer, not through the escrow. And then if the project has any issues, delays, or even abandoned, then the Dubai Land Department won't take responsibility. So sometimes you can lose the whole investment. So I just want to elaborate. Some investors might be not knowing about the escrow account. So basically, the escrow account is an account which is partly managed by the Dubai Land Department. So all the money which is being deposited to the developer, it's being managed by the Dubai Land Department. So only they will be releasing the money as per the stage of construction progress. So even if the client has paid in 100%, not all the money will be released to the developer. Only if they have reached that particular milestone, it will be released accordingly.
Yeah.
So that has a safety where the investor is sure that his money is being spent in a proper way.
So I'm summarizing your 3 points. You have said that instead of the hype, the investor has to do the market research. Secondly, you have said that the ROI, the return on investment, is really important to know while getting in the project. And the third thing is we should not ignore the exit strategies. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
So
valuable.
basically, I want to elaborate on another point is, so you can judge before investing on a project if the past developer, their projects have been appreciating, have investors seen returns. So because any developer, if you're investing with an established developer, that gives you more guarantee on your returns.
Yeah.
Because when it's a new developer in the market, you won't know how well it will perform. Will they deliver it on time? Whether there will be an appreciation? Because in Dubai, the developer's brand plays a major role in the return on investment.
Yeah. My last question to you for the audience, which is really important, is like for the people who want to earn a lifetime passive income after their retirement through Dubai real estate. So, what is your strategy, or what is your sharing with them?
So what I advise them is like every person, there's a time limit they can work. So there's a time we all have to retire. So when you retire, you always want to see that you have a fixed income coming in. So real estate around the world has been one of the stable forms of investment as a passive income. So whereas you don't have to put in much effort, you will be getting your rental returns, and even if you want to flip the property, it could be flipped uh, with real estate. Whereas if you take an example, if you invest in a business, especially in the time of retirement, and you are not able to manage the business, it's been managed by someone else. So there's always the percentage of loss is
Yeah.
there. So sometimes there are months you won't be getting a return if the business is making losses. But whereas if a property is rented, there's always a fixed flow of income coming in. So I always advise people who are working, especially in UAE, to see that they invest their money in UAE,
Yeah.
because UAE is a proven market for end users and investors to get good returns comparing to other countries. And UAE has been allowing international investors to invest, and all those investors have been gaining good returns from their investment in Dubai and UAE as a whole.
Thank you so much. This is a golden piece for people who are earning in UAE, Dubai to invest in Dubai, because you already know the place, governance, and it is giving good returns. Thank you so much. And Arshad, thank you so much for being here and giving your very valuable time. I would actually like you to again come back with some new set of training and new set of sharing with the audience, because today's session was really, I think it makes a lot sense to the investors. So thank you for being here.
Thank you once again for coming, Dr. Naheed, and initiating this program and helping it to happen. Thank you.